Why are some historical places renamed? To visit Nalanda, the ancient place of learning and arguably India's greatest cultural heritage, you need to board a train from Delhi and get down 50 miles from Patna at a place called Bakhtiyarpur. From Bakhtiyarpur, it is a brief and pleasant journey to Nalanda, and when you reach this hallowed place, when you stroll about its manicured lawns and thin brick facades and ruins, you'll get to know how this magnificent temple of knowledge and wisdom was charred to the ground by a barbarian, how thousands of scholars perished in the fires that burned for months, how millions of books were reduced to cinders, how a civilization that the world envied and admired as a Vishwaguru was lost forever. And you'll also get to know that the barbarian who executed the barbaric act was none other than Bakhtiyar Khilji. Yes, Bakhtiyar. And we have named not only a railway station but also a city in his honor. Our destruction that even Bakhtiyar could not manage in his lifetime is now complete. 1,000 years later, that we have honored this barbarian is not hurtful enough. What hurts the most is that unsatisfied and unsatiated with hideous self-flagellation, we have endeavored to descend a step further into the dungeons of distorted history and peddled the narrative that Bakhtiyar did not even destroy or set fire to Nalanda. Instead, we have blamed a couple of Hindu beggars for burning down the great city of Nalanda. Yep, you heard that right. Not an invader or his invading army of tens of thousands of barbarians, but rather two gawky little Hindu beggars were responsible for destroying the greatest ancient university that ever was. This is not the time to narrate you in detail the sorry figments of the leftist historian D.N. Jha's lobotomized mind and its imaginings. The fact that he never quoted a primary source for his assertion, the fact that the first English translation of Jha's source, Park Sam John Zhang, was carried out as late as 100 years ago, the fact that it never ever mentions the two Hindu beggars, but the fact remains that the Jhas have won this war of narratives because Bakhtiyar lives. For the sake of Islam, I became a wanderer. I battled infidels and the Hindus, and I was determined to become a martyr. Thanks be to Allah, I became a Ghazi. This is a direct quote of Babar from his Babarnama. There is a Babar Road in central Delhi, barely a mile from Prime Minister's residence. And yes, Babar lives. Hindu gods and their idols are as dirty as they are ugly and horrible to look at, and witnessing the destruction of temple idols gives me so much joy. The man who said this was also the chief architect of the Goa Inquisition that led to conversion, torture and murder of thousands of Hindus. His name was Saint Francis Xavier. Every year millions of Indians, including our Hindu nationalist Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, venerate him. And yes, St. Francis Xavier lives. Sikandar Shah Miri, 1389 to 1413, who commissioned Jamia Masjid and is still eulogized and worshipped in Kashmir, collected 3 kirwars and 210 kg of sacred thread from Kashmiri Hindus before he burned them. A single sacred thread weighs 7 grams. Again, I shall leave it to the mathematicians among you to calculate the sheer scale of this genocide. But, Sikandar Shah Miri lives. I will raise these Anasagar Hindu temples to the ground. I have come to India to fight the holy war against the infidels. The man who said this was Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti, the Hanafi Sufi saint, who fought alongside the demonic Muhammad Ghori and unsparingly converted Hindus. Every year millions of Indians, including our Hindu nationalist Prime Minister, offer a chadar at his mazar and venerate him. And yes, Moinuddin Chishti lives. We know more about the Mughals than our own warriors. We know more about the Mughals than we know about Shivaji Maharaj and Maharana Pratap. But why? Because history that is written by the victors is peddled by the vanquished, and we have been vanquished. This is country where people still go and pray at the grave of the monster Aurangzeb who beheaded Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, decapitated Shambhaji Maharaj, demolished Kashi Vishwanath, murdered 4.6 million Hindus. This is a country where Guru Arjan Dev Ji was forced to sit on a hot plate and literally cooked alive by the Mughal Emperor Jahangir. And what do? We immortalize Jahangir in our films as that affable, feather-towing, romantic Salim. This is a country where a celebrated historian Ram Guha didn't want Delhi roads to be named after Chhattrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, the man who birthed an empire stretching from Peshawar to Plessis, because in Guha's words, he was a little-known regional figure and Fendel law who endorsed caste hierarchies. This is country where we eulogize the invaders who over century after relentless century perpetrated the largest genocide in human history and murdered 80 million of us, a figure arrived at authoritatively by historians K.S. Lal and Will Durant. This is a country where Kareena Kapoor and Saif Ali Khan take pride in naming their son Taimur, where Akhilesh Yadav takes pride in having the nickname Tipu. Our history has been written by those who hated Hindus and Sanatan Dharma and Bharat. Our history is being written by those who hate Hindus, Sanatan Dharma and Bharat. There are hundreds of examples, but just one word suffices Tipu Sultan. Read his manifesto written in his own words. It is a terrifying proclamation calling for all Muslims to come together to wage jihad. Annihilation of the infidels is our sacred duty, he writes. The Hindus of Kurk suffered a particularly brutal onslaught. Murders, tortures, forced conversions. Even dead Hindus were converted. Even dead Hindus. Tipu destroyed more than 800 temples, 27 churches, captured 60,000 Christians, converted 30,000 out of them and killed thousands. Descendants of Mandayam Iyengas do not celebrate Diwali till this day. Ever wondered why? Because Tipu butchered them on this day. Men, children and women were paraded naked and trampled by elephants, and we call Tipu a symbol of communal harmony. We cheer when the state of the statue of the evil racist Leopold is demolished in Belgium. But we also celebrate Tipu Jayanti because tyrants who murdered Hindus are not tyrants, but heroes. Every city a Hindu lives in, every school he attends, every university he goes to, every road he walks on, he cannot escape being confronted by his cruel past that tortured, mutilated, murdered, pillaged and converted him. He cannot escape being humiliated by it, pummeled again by it by the force of history condensed and packed into a punch that lands and lands and lands and keeps on landing until the Hindu is lying face down on the canvas. Blood-laced, spit bubbling from his lips. This is a Hindu Rashtra they say. I ask them, is there a Hitler Road in Tel Aviv? और कुछ लोगों को प्रॉब्लम है जगहों के नाम बदलने से.